here with Leslie Winsonreed and Pam Amont. They are both teachers here at Levy Special Education Center. And I'm going to be doing my special education teacher interview with them today. So, Leslie, you first. How long have you been teaching special needs children, and what types of kids do you have?
10 years. Well, this is my 11th year. I started out with primarily just students with autism. It evolved into students with autism with severe behaviors and co-occurring mental health issues. Now I have kids with autism with co-occurring mental health issues, kids who are developmentally delayed, and I have a student with Down syndrome, but all of them have some kind of co-occurring mental health disorder.
Awesome. Okay, Pam, what about you?
I've been teaching for 33 years, and I have always worked with medically fragile, multiply disabled students, students that have significant cognitive delays, as well as usually physical and communication within the severe range and stuff. So my students have always been in wheelchairs and have different medical issues.
Awesome. And then I just kind of split up the questions between the two of them. So Pam, what made you choose the teaching profession and in particular teaching special needs children?
I always was going to be a teacher. I used to play being a teacher, set up desks and have my dolls be the students and
I did
stuff
that too.
when I was younger. And then I just decided when I went away to school, I knew I would be going into elementary ed, but I just decided I wanted to look at teaching special ed. I don't know why. I thought originally I wanted to do behaviors and students with behaviors. That was before autism even existed. But then I found that I went to Special Olympics once and fell in love with the students with cognitive delays. So I switched over to working with it used to be called mental retardation back then. And I did my practicum. My student teaching was severely disabled students, and that's where I kind of decided I wanted to be.
That's awesome. Okay. Leslie, how have your ideas toward teaching changed with each passing year of experience? Can you recall your ideas about teaching when you were a teacher education student like me? What were they and what are they now?
When I was a student, I didn't know anything about autism. I knew a little bit about Asperger's because I have a son with Asperger's. But I originally wanted to work with middle school students with behavior disorders. So mostly they had learning disabilities. But when I first started teaching autism, it was all functional, all social skills, all getting them out. There was not much academic at all.
Oh, wow.
Except for the students who may go out, we didn't work on that. Over the years, we've started shifting to focus more and more academics. So now I've switched to, I see value in the academics, whether they totally understand what we're doing, but I see the skills they're learning while we're doing that bleed into other areas.
That's awesome. Okay, Leslie, again to you. How does teaching children with special needs differ from teaching other children? What are some challenges you face in teaching special needs children? And what are some rewards in teaching special needs children?
I think the biggest difference is, for my students, is not only do they have significant issues and mental health issues, mine are all adults. My youngest one this year is 17. I also have to remember that they still have the normal growth and the normal feelings that a regular teenager might have. So, and the same normal needs. I think that we forget that, and we think of them only as disabled. And I think one of the challenges is also to blend what they need functionally with academically, to fit it all in a day. One of the challenges is I often have my students for several years, so I get to know them really, really well, and we have to really remember that they also need to be able to function outside of us, not to get them so dependent upon just us.
Yeah.
So that's a challenge because we know them. We've worked with them for years. We know them. We know their little quirks. We don't have to really explain it to people, but we have to remember that they're in a transition and they need to be comfortable working with other people.
So do you think that doing the CBI and going out into the community, CBI is community-based instruction, right? So do you think that helps out with them not being so dependent on you as teachers?
I do. Even though we take them out, oftentimes I don't assign just one person with them in my room. They have to work with everybody, which helps. And our vocational person's really good about taking our students out, and we make sure that they're greeting people in the hallways and trying to give them those experiences out in the community, whether it's a work related or a social skills related.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, Pam, what advice can you give me for teaching children with special needs in the regular education classroom?
I think the most important thing is to treat them as you would with the general ed students. Treat them the same way. Kind of assume to some level that they understand and can relate to what you're talking about and what you're teaching. But on the flip side of that, also be aware of what their special needs will be and what kind of adaptations they'll need. Always following along and looking in their records and seeing what they've been working on and see what extra accommodations that they need in the classroom. But other than that, really treat them as you would the rest of the classroom. They have the same feelings, the same needs. They just kind of address them in different ways.
Okay, that's very helpful. Thank you. I think, Leslie, what changes, if any, would you make to the educational system with regard to special needs children? Consider such aspects as inclusion, funding, state assessments, etc.
One that you got thrown into.
I understand the need to assess the students. I think that they are not taking into account our types of students with the way they're going with assessments right now. That I don't think it's going to be a correct assessment for our students at all. I also think they need to really look at least restrictive environment. Even though we're a special day school and our students aren't as involved with regular education peers, for most of our students, they are in their least restrictive environment. They go swimming, they have specials, and they're out and they're busy and they're all over the building and they're in the community, whereas most of our students, especially mine and Pam's, they would be in a classroom all day. They wouldn't be doing all of this going out and interacting with, they are interacting with peers. They're interacting with their peers, with adults. So I think that sometimes they need to look at the least restrictive environment, what that means for the kids.
That's a good idea. Okay, Pam, if you could choose another career field, would you? Please explain your answer in detail.
I would not choose another career field. I mean, I chose this a long time ago, 37 years ago when I got out of high school, and I've never regretted a moment of it. I did, before I started being an educator, I did consider physical therapy, and I thought about going to physical therapy school, and which is amazing because I do a lot of physical therapy in my classroom. So I really, as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about retiring. I'm trying to figure out what else I could do, and I don't really know. I guess I could be a waitress again. I don't know. Well, I will sub, but if I want something more full time. So.
Yeah, you can tell you definitely love it. The way you interact with your students and how long you've been here is sheer proof. Do either of you guys have any other comments or other advice that you can give me?
Stick with it. It's a noble, it's a good career. We get a lot of flack in the news and stuff, but I think that teachers are very important. Obviously, they're the first person that these children get contact with, and sometimes the most stable influence that they have in their lives. And even with things changing, I still think teaching is a great position, job to be in. And kudos for you. plug on and get that degree and teach.
Yes.
I think for me, it's sometimes we forget that they make the little tiny things that they do. I have to, when days are really difficult, we're having lots of behaviors, or there's been behaviors for a week or so, I have to really think, okay, that's just their way of communicating, but little things that say, look, they're still learning. They may be having a hard day, but they're doing this and they couldn't do this 6 months ago, even if it's putting their toothbrush in their mouth or opening their silverware or choosing, a picture from literacy or looking at the book, even actually attending. Those little things are so important.
That's
I
awesome.
remember those.
Well, and I think that, people say, like, especially if you're a special needs teacher, oh, you must be so patient and be so kind and everything. And I'm saying, we're no more patient or kind or noble than any other teacher. And I actually think that we have the better job because we don't have 30 little kids running around with issues and behaviors and stuff. And, we have to get to build this special bond with our students, and they really they're very unique, and they have personalities, and they have needs and wants.
Humor
and humor, yes.
Oh my goodness.
Even my most severe students involved cognitively have unique personalities and stuff, and those are the things that make up and stuff. So
when they suddenly laugh at a joke and they got it, and it just makes your day.
And it's not all about the 3 months off in the summer because we don't have
3
months
months?
off. Even regular teachers don't have 3 months off. So, but it is a great job, and the pay's not bad nowadays.
Yeah.
Not as good 30 years ago when I started, but it's not bad.
Okay. Well, thank you, ladies, both for taking the time. Let me interview you. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate everything that you're doing for these kids. And once again, this is Leslie Winson-Reed and Pam Amont.